In downtown Manhattan last year, this man was put on trial and was found guilty in the American embassy bombings in Kenya and in Tanzania. The jury convicted him. He was sentenced to life in prison. The trial happened in Lower Manhattan last year. Also last year in Brooklyn, this man pleaded guilty to trying to blow up part of the New York City subway. He pled guilty in a criminal court in Brooklyn. He is now facing life in prison. Also last year, also in New York City, down on Pearl Street, this man pleaded guilty in criminal court to trying to blow up Times Square with a car bomb. He is now serving life in prison. Also last year, a grand jury in Michigan indicted this guy. You may know him as the underwear bomber. He's in a federal prison awaiting trial. Criminal investigators say he has confessed. If that confession sticks, he will be up for a very, very long time in a federal prison, which is where we put people who are convicted of serious crimes. Except when we don't. Because even though the record of charging people with crimes and convicting people of crimes when they have committed terrorist acts is the kind of record that would make a Dodge City sheriff's candidate blush with pride, the Obama administration has decided that some terrorists, some crimes, will be treated the way the Bush administration treated them, which is not like crimes at all, but rather as something that has to be handled outside the court system in a fake court tribunal system for which we have to maintain an offshore prison so the prisoners there don't, by stepping on U.S. soil, accidentally trigger any expectations of how America treats people. When you consider the two major things that happened in Democratic politics today, it is sort of amazing that they both happened on the same day. Today's the day that President Obama announced that he is running for re-election. He did it with this ad that you are seeing here. You will notice this ad has no Barack Obama in it. It's just Obama's supporters, people who supported his election in 2008 and who say they will work to re-elect him next year, too.
I just saw the energy and hope that he had for this country. But even though I couldn't exactly vote at the time, I knew that someday I'd be able to help re-elect him. And that's what I plan on doing.
We're not leaving it up to chance. We're not leaving it up to, the incumbent, the type of thing. Is an election that we have to win.
The president's re-election campaign launched today without showing the president, highlighting purely and only the president's base, the people who worked their butts off to elect him in 2008, who the president is depending on to be just as motivated, just as hardworking, just as enthused this time around. And on the same day the president launches his re-election campaign with this ad, in this way, with that bullhorn summoning of the base, on the same day the administration did this to the president's base.
The Obama administration has pulled the plug tonight on one of its signature efforts. It now says it has given up on a courtroom trial for the mastermind of the 9/11 attacks here inside the United States. Instead, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and others will be tried before military commissions at the U.S. military base in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba.
Attorney General Eric Holder announcing today that despite what he said 2 years ago about bringing terrorism prosecutions out of the murky legal underworld of Guantanamo and its made-up fake court offshore tribunals, despite those promises, despite President Obama, as one of his first official actions as president, declaring that Guantanamo would be closed within a year, despite those things that conservatives may have liked, but the base was, conservatives may not have liked, but the base was pretty psyched about. The administration said today that it will go ahead with Guantanamo and the fake court offshore tribunals for the alleged 9/11 mastermind, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. The Beltway media reaction to this story was that this was all politics. This was all about making the timing of this happen in such a way that would be of most political advantage to the president and to his re-election effort. It sort of tells you everything you need to know about how the Beltway sees the relationship between the Democratic Party and the Democratic Party's base. If a Republican president announced he was actually pro-choice or pro-gay marriage or that he was closing Guantanamo, if a Republican president announced that on the same day he launched his re-election effort, the Beltway would convulse with shock over that Republican president alienating his base on day one of his campaign. But a Democratic president kicks his base in the teeth on something as fundamental as civil liberties. He puts the nail in the coffin of a civil liberties promise he made on his first full day in office, and he does it on the first day of his re-election effort. Beltway reaction to that is, good move. That's the difference between Republican politics and Democratic politics. The Republicans may not love their base, but they fear them and they play to them. The Democratic Party institutional structures of D.C. and the Beltway press in particular not only hate the Democratic base, they think it is good politics for Democratic politicians to kick that base publicly whenever possible. Only the base itself will ever change that.